How's it going, folks? Jag here with another video here to do something a tiny bit different because the Elon hate train is going strong and I'm all here for it. I want to join on the ride and yeah, you're just gonna have to suffer along with me with this one. But I promise you though, this is going to be rather constructive, and unlike the king of committing the capital sin of salutes, this will not be cringe.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. I'm living the meme. It's like there's living the dream and there's living the meme, and it's pretty much what's happening, you know.
This is of course a video by Channel 5 of Andrew Callahan here on the Anti-Elon rally, so let's give this a look.
You look at my gray hair, you think I probably don't listen to rap music, and you're right. But I heard about the slogan in a podcast, and I thought that is the right idea. Elon.
Always like it when old people either bring up like old references that they grew up with, or I like hip with the times.
Musk, he not like us.
And that's a Kendrick Lamar reference.
I would know. I know it's a rap music reference. How do the rappers say it?
They not like us.
They not like us. The billionaire shouldn't be able to tell all the rest of us what to do.
Stop the billionaire coup. Elon Musk is literally raiding our government and destroying our country.
I am become meme.
That's the one.
That thing right there was literally the thought that I had in my mind when I said the whole cringe line.
I am become meme.
He's the absolute worst, but I have got to appreciate the thing that happened recently in some department offices where an image of him, no, was it? No, that was DJT, Donald Trump, bootlicking, or more specifically, toe-licking Elon in a very accurate fashion, because he is the shadow president of the United States.
One illegal alien that we have to get rid of.
Meanwhile, Trump and Musk's efforts to expand the power of the executive branch and slash the federal workforce continue.
What they're doing is illegal. He is not a government employee. 300 employees at the National Nuclear Security Administration were fired.
It's a coup.
It's a bunch of unelected billionaires who are ransacking our government.
This really does look like 1933 Germany. You know, Hitler did rule via executive order.
38.
I wouldn't go that far, but I will say that it is completely... it's literally the exact same thing that conservatives were crying about, right? The possibility of a George Soros and the Democrats going along with it.
Why does George Soros have all of this power? Because he keeps donating so much money to the Democrats?
Why does George Soros want to see the collapse of America?
So it's almost like he's an evil person in a Batman movie.
But they actually did it. So that's why it's extremely strange that they cannot see the irony of what's happening right now.
Executive orders.
Just executive order after executive order. And it's unreal. It's fascism at its heart.
I have Hitler. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with Hitler?
Yeah, Trump for emperor.
We wanted...
Okay, we are barely a minute in, and somebody already did the thing. I said this in like a past video, like, how is there any freaking ambiguity about any of this?
My heart goes out to you.
Did he just sig high?
But why would you do it? This angle's worse, but why would you do it like that? Like, why? You should have done it like, at least like palm up or like.
Elon throws some German hearts to swine.
I still don't.
I'm not an emotional thinker, okay? Like, so I can't appeal to people emotionally. But what I can say is that every part of my logical brain is telling me that this was not an intentional Nazi salute. This was not any nod at any sort of like Hitler Nazi stuff at all. And plus, what would Elon gain by doing a Nazi salute? Nothing. It didn't happen. It's bullshit. People making it up just to cause drama. That's it.
Dude does want the news is kind of trying to massage and sanitize, calling it a Roman salute. Hey, the Nazis knew that it was a bloody Roman salute. That's why they did it. So in the least, no matter how much of a goober this individual is, I can appreciate the honesty.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with Hitler?
Yeah, Trump for emperor.
We want to downsize government, but make it better.
Stop the fucking billionaires.
He's firing a lot of federal workers. Many of these folks have civil service protection, so these things are against the law.
He's in the IRS today, I hear. He's getting all of our information. They're slashing jobs. They're slashing the Department of Education. They're slashing
infectious disease experts, baby formula inspectors, livestock disease testers,
people in the FBI,
park rangers, bank regulators,
CDC,
drug addiction and cancer scientists.
Cancer scientists, I know. I have friends who work in that department, as well as climate research. There are some grants that are being slashed that make 0 sense. And that all under the excuse that, oh, we're dealing with DEI. Oh boy. How is it that internet lingo, right, like the understanding, the galvanization of audiences into believing something that they barely have 0 understanding of, has made it to the highest position of power? America is cooked, okay? And the reason why I know a lot about these things is that it's moving over to us here in Europe. And they're trying to push similar narrative, but locally, we have a bit more brain cells. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to insinuate that Americans are dumber or anything, okay? I know that some people will say, but oh, we are. No, what I always have stated when it comes to this is that I have a hell of a lot of compassion for a lot of Americans, because most of you, if you're an American watching this right now, this is directly to you, you have to work a multitude of jobs just to sustain yourself, just to stay afloat, because yeah, your country has dictated that paying more in taxes to grant you more social services is the freaking work of the devil for some reason. So that's fair, but at the same time, they are adding more taxation to the goods that you are having today, so you don't, and somehow you don't seem to realize why that's a bad thing. But let's keep it down a little bit. You have to overwork yourself to death, so you barely have any time to do research to try and understand how leadership is actually doing the things that they claim to do. And I think that is extremely unfortunate. So I do have a lot of compassion for a lot of you who are going through all of the hardship that you're witnessing right now. But when it comes to voting, to putting these people in administration, you may not have voted for Elon, but you knew all the steps of what he was proposing. And I'm saying him because DGT, he's just a puppet. He repeats every single thing that the people, his yes mans, always say.
Basically slashing every resources that we have.
It's kind of like we're gutting the country from the inside out.
And why? Because they want to give themselves a big tax break, or they destroy the middle class.
They're just trying to destroy our government, to wipe out the power of the people, and to put oligarchs in charge.
We can't roll over anymore. People are rolling over. It's like, no.
America is resisting fascism like the entire world is.
Because this system sucks. It's done by design, and what we need is a revolution. We really do.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are here live in New York City at Union Square for the anti-Elon Musk, anti-billionaire, stop the coup, fuck the kings protest. We're going to talk to some people about how they feel about everything going on right now.
In this country, I have friends, I have family who are transgender.
Well, that's an Irishman for sure. Oh shit. Oh, is he one who just like fled Ireland during... Yeah, it must have been the case, right? Because you couldn't be queer in Ireland, or gay, or whatever they identify as. Yeah, perhaps fled to the US to be themselves. Yeah, it's got to suck, right? Like, you flee for a better place, and the better place becomes the very nightmare that you escaped from.
You can't roll back history. My friend Yvonne Ritter, who just died last year, who was one of the key people at Stonewall.
For context, the Stonewall riots were a series of events that occurred after New York City police attempted to illegally raid and shut down a prominent queer bar in the 60s. It was 6 days of mayhem and is generally considered to be the launch point for the modern gay rights movement.
The other day, we all woke up to see that the T was removed from the website honoring the Stonewall riots.
References to transgender and queer people have been
shit.
removed from the Stonewall National Monument section on the National Park Service website. This comes as the Trump administration continues to push for federal agencies to only recognize two genders, male and female.
And this is absolutely outrageous. It's like undoing history. It's reversing history. You can't do that. So they might have removed the T, but they can't undo the history.
Just waiting for people to do the comparison to conservative statues from a few years back. Yeah. Then we kind of hear the good old statement of the guy who went like,
want to save their farm under this flag. Who was working that farm?
My
family was. Who was working the
do you know how expensive a slave was back then? It's like a racist case, so no disrespect on the man's name, okay? If any of you have seen that video, my God, it's wow.
That's why we're here. That's why it's important to have this flag. I'm an immigrant from Ireland. I came here because I was gay. It was a criminal offense in Ireland at the time. And I came here precisely because there was room here if you were queer, if you were gay. Now this policy is reversing that.
President Trump keeps his promise to get wokeness out of the United States Armed Forces as he signs multiple executive orders to reshape the military.
And late today at the White House, President Trump signing an executive order banning transgender women from competing in women's sports.
The administration has issued orders for hospitals, for instance, to stop providing health care for young people, for children, for adults who are transgender.
President Trump recently signed an executive order halting federal support for gender-affirming health care for people under 19 years of age.
That's fucking weird, man. And the thing about this is that I don't quite think that people understand the implication of all of this, because even in the editing right now, I don't suppose that Andrew is going to go too deep into what this anti-so-called DEI initiative thing that Trump has going on is implicating. It's not just the flag-waving people, okay? It's not just LGBTQ plus individuals that this is affecting. This is affecting the Trump voter, the person who is against this whole thing. It's harming you actually the most.
The end result of the fraud and abuse that has been discovered already.
Things are happening at warp speed, illegal things that are having consequences right now. And we need you. Yeah.
Elon Musk is ignoring a bunch of financial stuff. He is in the Treasury. He is trying to get access to our tax returns. Are you going to subpoena him at some point? Or after you're done with the budget or whatever, are you willing to use your subpoena power to say, Musk, come in here, stand in front of Congress and answer some hard questions? That is how you can hold him to account.
Because I talked about this with a friend the other day, okay? DEI were basically just programs put in motion to give people with hardship the ability to seek the same opportunity as others, okay? That is essentially what it is. And while, yes, statistically, it has been about the whole increase of discrimination based on race or gender or sexual preferences and how to tackle that properly, why is that a bad thing? Like, seriously, why is that a bad thing? Because it's not even just about hiring processes, right? That's the thing that most people rave about, that, oh, it's about people who are taking our jobs. It's also, and I would even argue mostly, about training and creating better work environments in the workplace. And by the way, who do you think are the biggest benefactors of DEI initiatives? White women. They are the biggest benefactors from these DEI programs. Data show that the white women hold nearly 19% of all C-suite positions, while women of color, we're talking Black, Asian or others, hold a meager 4%. And then you have to take into account such things as age, disabilities. They play a huge role in all this. Veterans, bruv. All veterans who have to work till they die because retirement age is fucking long for y'all, and again, the government doesn't provide you much. They are in deep shit because of this. because they are cut out of these initiatives. So what are they to do? And mind you, they all fall under the same umbrella, just in case that somebody comes with the argument of, but these are supposed to be earned. Veterans have goddamn earned to be able to get some job after their service. And even better, okay? I do you one even better, a simple one. Because often, as I've mentioned, a lot of people have this tendency of thinking that, oh, they heard the DEI, so it's just about minorities and black people or whatever. There is a fair understanding of that because that's literally what the media has made it, or even influencers make it out to be. Because they are just pundit. They are all there to galvanize the audience, and they are not going to share the rest of the story. In these executive orders that he has made, a thing that I came to understand through some friends that live in the US and who work there, he has ordered the DOJ to investigate any company who choose to have a DEI initiative and or DEIA initiatives. And the A is standing for accessibility. And this over-encompasses a whole lot of people. Like, for example, he shut down the EPA, who gives grants to small businesses for stuff like innovation and research, children healthcare, pollution, and so much more. Like, if you are a conservative who hate the whole liberal elite of the urban liberal elite, right? It's like a meme, I know, but it's literally that. This is literally targeting you because it's affecting rural America the most. So the whole point is just that you are seeing the flags and colors and the big headlines there, but you are not looking deeper into what is actually happening.
You imagine being in the middle of treatment and all of a sudden a directive comes from Washington to stop that treatment. My husband is a pediatric hematologist oncologist. I've been inspired by him as I watched him care for children with sickle cell and with cancer. And I understand how important trials are and research. So the cuts, the directives from Washington have literally cut and threatened the life, therefore, of many children across America. And
yep, he's cut down cancer research. And I mentioned that I have a friend working through climate research, right? There's a thing with the Lake Tahoe grants that were cut, okay? And this all falls down under the End Wokeness Initiative. Please tell me how cutting a grant about lake erosion in Lake Tahoe affect wokeness. How?
Young people.
The Trump administration has told federal health agencies to pause external communications.
So it's very practical. It's not just rhetoric. It literally impacts real lives, families who love their children, who care for their families.
He's acting like a king or wannabe dictator, and I think it's pathetic.
This country is moving very rapidly under Trump into an authoritarian form of society.
We have a government where powers are supposed to be separated between equal branches. The executive branch is not authorized to simply defund programs that have been appropriated by Congress. If they're seizing power, they're firing civil service members to put in loyalists.
Overnight, President Trump firing the nation's top military leadership in an unprecedented purge.
The Republican Congress.
Oh no. This is literally reverse DEI, isn't it? Right? You take a man that is decorated, who has years of experience, who is overqualified for his job, and replace him with a dude who barely made it in. Now, I'm not to speak about a new guy, but it's like, why though? You can see how, in terms of optics, that's a bad move.
Purge.
The Republican Congress is not checking him on this. They're too timid to do so, and that's why I'm here. I hope we can get back to the democracy we've had for 250 years.
What are some of the executive orders that you found most egregious in this first month of the new term?
Oh, end of birthright citizenship, without a doubt.
President Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship has kicked off an unprecedented legal battle over immigration policy.
I'm also worried about there's a bill been introduced in the House to make a national ban on abortion?
I think the executive orders firing inspector generals, I would say, because they are the watchdogs of our society.
Within days of taking office, President Trump fired more than 17 inspectors general across the federal government.
That's fucking wild. So dude went like, it's a lot of funds that goes to completely unnecessary things in the government. Yeah, we are granting money to things that literally never work. And people were like, okay, so why the fuck are you firing the people who are supposed to do the investigation as to where the money actually goes? And he gets backed up by the very dude who has only made a profit in his company for the last decade through what? Government subsidies.
NASA called and told us that we'd won a $1.5 billion contract. And I couldn't even hold the phone. It's like, I just blurted it out, I love you guys.
They saved you.
Yeah, they did.
Financially and maybe even emotionally.
I'll tell you what, that was definitely helpful.
You can't make this shit up.
Eliminating any DEI in government programs, which has frightened other agencies and people to stop teaching history and stop teaching about our true history. And
all agencies were directed to put DEI staff on leave. Employees ordered to remove pronouns from their signatures. Diversity inclusion programs shuttered.
You know, I stand by DEI. I'm not going to give up on these terms. Language is structural. It's not just a matter of, exchanging DEI with excellence. I think you have to stick and fight for these terms that we've so hard fought to have inserted in our institutions. I'm active in the cultural world, and I don't let go of it so quickly.
But also, when he says excellence, I remember the thing that was showed like very close to the day after his inauguration, where he signed the whole thing and saying that, everything's now going to be based on merit and excellence.
The country is going to be based on merit again. Can you believe it?
Like, dude, you received how much? Like a literal empire from your dad. What are you talking about? Like, these are literally people who have smart folks working for them, have inherited wealth, and they are talking about expertise and excellence. I'm not even American, but this is making me mad.
Why do you think they're attacking it so much?
Because they are racist and equate any challenge to the economic system in this country with people who are not white. And
I want to push back on that. It might be, okay? Definitely some people out there who are, holy shit, some of the statements that come out of this administration is beyond me. But I don't think that they care, because they too have people who have voted against their own interest. All they care about is to cut things for their friends, their yes-mans. That's why everybody who is going along with that are either bootlickers and or people who have something to gain from it personally. They don't do it for the people. That's some bullshit. They are doing it for their own self-interest. Literally, the reason as to why Trump initially was signing all these executive orders, especially the import tax bullshit, was to find a way to circumvent income tax. A thing that was going to be gaining whom? The wealthy, the entrepreneurs, not the worker at the bottom, okay? Continuing this whole trend that we've seen from the time of Reagan of creating this massive wealth gap. Yet still, for some reason, his supporters are oblivious to it. Some of them are waking up to it, but it's a lot for the price of eggs.
It's actually the opposite, without immigrants or people who represent diversity in very different aspects, we would be in a much, much, much worse condition.
Tonight, Walmart joining a growing list of companies rolling back diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives.
Why do you think there is so much focus on DEI right now?
Because I always think scapegoating people is easy, and I think that they're racists.
Stop the fucking billionaires.
Top 5 worst billionaires, what comes to mind?
Well, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, if he actually is a billionaire.
Yep.
Bill Gates, pretty bad, but not as bad as Jeff Bezos.
Mhm.
And trying to think of another one.
Larry Fink.
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg.
There you go. Zuckerberg's also a fucking terrible billionaire.
As far as wealth distribution goes, do you feel like anybody should be a billionaire?
Probably not. But the thing is that what's more important is that the billionaire shouldn't be able to tell all the rest of us what to do.
I think it's okay to earn as much money as you fucking want. The thing is that the law should still apply to you. It shouldn't be that you can find ways of constantly circumventing paying taxes. Oh my god. I just thought about the thing that with one of the interviews and Elon going like, oh, restrictions are the biggest problem that we have in the US government. No shit. Because if there weren't those restrictions, you could just be doing whatever you want. It's literally in the greatest seat that you can ever wish to be in. Can you imagine if he had more?
Right.
I think they can earn $1 billion, but then they have to have fair taxation.
How billionaire Jeff Bezos pays 0 in taxes.
Because we want to encourage people, you know, and to be, I mean, you've hit my main issue here, but you know, they hate the government. The government is set up for them to succeed.
The same goes for larger corporations. Smaller companies barely survived the pandemic, while larger corporations simply coasted through. The reason for this was the higher taxes.
And they get a lot of benefits from it. Everybody knows, right? Elon has like billions in government contracts, et cetera, especially his space program.
SpaceX alone has received $19 billion from the federal government, and it is poised to take in several billion a year.
Yeah, whenever I hear the bullshit about that, oh, this guy is innovating in space travel. If it wasn't for Elon, we wouldn't have reusable rockets. And first, it's the work of his engineers, not him. Number 2, NASA saved this guy's fucking life. He would have gone bankrupt if NASA didn't come there and was like, hey, look, we have a lot to do. We need extra hand in here. We have some people who are enthusiastic about the work that your scientists have been doing, so we're giving you a grant. Billions. Get to work. And after Lord knows how many failures, he finally did something good, because his life literally depended on it.
At the president's request.
Does that present a conflict of interest for you?
No, because first of all, I'm not the one, filing the contract. It's people at SpaceX or someone who will be putting for the contract.
He is living off government contracts and cutting off USAID to countries that are desperately in need of food. Meanwhile, he's sitting on piles of cash.
Backlash after Elon Musk seized control of USAID, the agency that provides U.S. humanitarian assistance around the world.
Oh, the USAID is ridiculous, and the lies around it are unreal. And if you turn on Fox News, it's literally just a propaganda machine.
Angry Democrats throwing a hissy fit after Elon Musk dropped the Doge hammer on the Hunter Biden of government agencies.
Supposedly there's $200 million worth of food that's being held up in ports right now. Condoms that need to go to Africa. AIDS medication. It's ridiculous.
Around the world, we are doing important medicine to help things from getting out of hand, like COVID. Those things, we are a big interconnected world. Those things come here.
All the money to fight diseases in other countries, that's going to come back to bite us.
You also need to understand that this was something that literally was in the US best interest to create these bonds. You know how the whole approach of divide and conquer has really come and bite a bunch of people in the arse? This was the better way of doing it, because you are actually consolidating power through people, through friendliness, through a common goal of making the world better. And people were now more and more willing to work with the US because these were tangible solutions to world crises, diseases, food and hunger. They were helping. These are things that are important. And they were like, nope, let's cut it off. And then, of course, there's the whole thing about the taxations, which is even stupider.
When those diseases land here on our shores.
But hell, I don't want Ebola to come here and mutate. I don't want AIDS to mutate because,
I should note that following Trump and Musk's defunding of USAID, they've since decided to reinstate funding for Ebola and HIV research.
And it was because this was frozen for like 30 days. Because they did not have a choice. This was fought in court. So they had to roll it back. And how about the flu? You guys are being plagued by the bird flu right now. It is of course a worldwide crisis, but you've decided to sign out of the World Health Organization. This dude shut down the FDA so that they could not communicate to people how to handle the flu and the research. And how it is that it is killing your pets, and how it can be transmitted from your cat to you. How is this a thing?
We have, for example, turned on funding for Ebola prevention and for HIV prevention. Yes, correct.
Still, many of Elon's critics view his gutting of USAID as a strange, unnecessary thing, given its relative small percentage in the overall government spending budget.
USAID spending, foreign aid is not a large percent of our budget. Defense is a tremendous one. Social Security, Medicare, but foreign aid is a tiny, tiny fraction of American spending.
Yeah, talk about the lost money from the Pentagon, my dude. That's worth talking about.
USAID's $43 billion budget is a tiny fraction of what the government spends, about 1%.
It's about $100 per taxpayer in America, although, you know, if you have to figure out how much of that is really well-off people versus poor people, it's not on average. So it's a tiny, tiny amount of money that pays off tremendously for the benefit for Americans. Like, you know, people look at us as positively around the world.
Its support is a critical lifeline for people in need around the world, helping an estimated 32 million children suffering malnutrition and bringing food, water, shelter, and health care to victims of natural disasters.
In addition to being a humanitarian disaster, there's just no goodwill. You know, we will become the hated country in the world, just like Germany was under the Nazis.
Some former officials say it could leave fragile countries more vulnerable to the influence of nations like Russia and China.
They're also cutting programs to help hungry kids here. It's a ridiculous survival of the fittest that we probably should move past as a civilization.
Yep, that's the thing I mentioned with the EPA. For childcare, this also covers such things as giving food for schools. That is being cut from. Indiscriminately, mind you.
Just a little bit.
Hey man, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. Our show's called Channel 5 on YouTube.
Yep, that's right. You're watching Channel 5. What's up, my C5 family? As many of you guys know, I've been to many events just like that one in Union Square. And everywhere I go, without fault, whether it be a political rally, a convention, anything, one thing is constant. Somebody is gonna stink. Me as an interviewer, I can't smell bad. Because if I want people to open up and really speak their mind, I can't have stinky armpits, stinky skin, stinky anything. That's why I use Mando. My favorite thing about Mando is it's clinically proven to resist and control odor for 72 hours. That's 3 whole days. And trust me, if you want to work at Channel 5, just know, it's Mando that you wear some Mando. In the streets of Philly, Mando. Huntington Beach Public Library, Mando. Vegas tunnels, Mando. In the woods hunting for the Jersey Devil. Pro Sport, Invisible Cream. I love Mando so much that I wish I had some to give out at the Union Square protest.
Oh. You just expose him to millions of people.
Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. All right, back to the streets of Union Square.
You seem to like Trump.
I love Trump, Daddy Trump. Trump for emperor.
So how do you think about this whole concept of a coup happening?
It's hilarious. I'm out here to watch the shit show in the tro.
What do you think about Elon Musk?
I think he's hot. He needs to date a tranny. No, I totally would fuck him so bad.
This was not what I expected coming out of her mouth, but wow. Wow.
So you don't think the Hitler salute was legit?
Hi, I'm Hitler. What's wrong with that?
Oh.
What's wrong with Hitler?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some people would say a lot of things.
8 million Jews can tell you what's wrong with Hitler.
This is America. Everyone's entitled to their own beliefs and
all good, babe.
Yeah, that's the thing. The freedom of speech, you have the right to say that, but it's just like all the freaking veterans who went out of their way to fight and die for that, to make sure that such kind of horror were not being repeated on their own soil. They're kind of cringing hard right now in their graves, I'm sure.
I'm not one of these Holocaust deniers. I think the Holocaust probably happened. I think probably 99% certainty it happened. And the number of people that were killed is not a big...
Nazis. I hate these guys.
Less Trump, more shrimp! More shrimp! Always room for more shrimp. Definitely room for less Trump. So if there's one message for the people of America at home or worldwide, less Trump, more shrimp. Heard it here first.
You have anything to say to the world?
Wow.
Definitely like stand up to fascism. There's a hostile takeover of the government happening. A bunch of billionaires are reaping the benefits from it, and we're all getting fucked. So people gotta hit the streets and make it happen. Also, like more shrimp, less Trump.
Obviously, everybody at the rally was militantly anti-Elon, but a few of his supporters showed up to speak their minds.
I'm a Democrat for 45 years, no longer. So I put a lot of those people in office who voted for things that quite frankly, they're stealing money from us.
Oh,
with
Granny.
all these NGOs that are being investigated. I like Elon Musk. Keep doing it. Keep looking at where our money is going and traveling to. I don't want to support war and our...
On November 18, 1990, the 101st Congress quietly repealed the McCarran-Warren Act of 1952, forbidding Muslims from holding office. Members of that Congress were Dick Cheney, John McCain, Joe Biden, Al Gore, John Kerry, Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, and Nancy Pelosi. Well, these are all across the political aisles. It's not just Democrats. What are you saying? These are actually Republicans that were a part of that. And this is not even to say the Democrats are good at all. No, they are freaking bad. They are always bickering with the elite amongst them. As an example, Nancy fucking Pelosi and Joe Biden. But just like how the Nazi, I can't believe it, I'm saying that, sympathizer before said, you got that freedom of religion and expression, and you have separation of church and state, which, mind you, the MAGA crowd wants to abolish for some reason.
military dying or anybody else dying in any foreign countries.
You learn that like there's hundreds of billions of dollars going to these so-called NGOs. Yeah. And it's your tax dollars that are funding things that are fundamentally anti-American.
This dude was big beyond belief and went on there with glasses and said, "I am now become meme." Ugh.
Going back to Doge, though, can you think of an example of them actually like cleaning things up and helping us save money so far, NGOs?
Well, there's a whole list, and you know, unfortunately, I was hit by a car. I can't remember everything. I have a brain issue. Yeah. But the thing that
Oh my God! I hope she's okay. I'm not doing that. Although it will be very, very funny to say that it might have occurred after her 40 years as a Democrat. He's hit by a car, becomes Republican. But okay, seriously, I seriously wish that she's okay.
I do know is like giving phylactics to like Guatemala, or you know, raising money for some Sesame Street DEI or LBGT thing going on in another country.
Drag shows in Ecuador, atheism in Nepal, trans comic books in Peru.
All these NGOs that are in other...
Okay. Seriously? Okay, I need to look this up. What the fuck is she talking about?
Few moments later.
Okay, fact-checking claims about USA funding. The Trump administration officials have misled about how the aid agency is spending its funding in efforts to cite widespread waste. In some cases with US aid, 10, 12-13%, maybe less, of the money was actually reaching the recipient, and the rest was going into overhead and bureaucracy, Secretary of State Marco Rubio in the new conference on Tuesday. This is misleading. Mr. Rubio was likely referring to a January report from USAID showing that about 2.1 billion or 12.1% of its funding went directly to local partners. But that does not mean that 80 to 90% of the funding was spent on overhead and bureaucracy. Oh, this lady, I remember that. There was like a whole interview about her citing all the different things that supposedly were being used.
$1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either.
I knew it was all bullshit, but hell, I was milking it for all it was worth.
But again, the fact-checking here states that this is exaggerated. Mrs. Levy's description of the awards were largely inaccurate for 5 of the 8 examples she listed. She was correct that USAID awarded 20 million grant to System Workshop, 5.1 million grant, of course, to advance integrity and accountability in information space to build socially resilience in the face of disinformation in Kazakhstan. Good thing. And 1.5 million grant to advance diversity, equity and inclusion in Serbia, which might also be a good thing. But she omitted context and misled key details in the description of some of the grants, including the 5 remaining ones. The 20 million System Workshop was not to create a new program, but to tailor an existing children's show called Alan Sim Sim for local audiences, as well as create educational material for training and use in childcare centers. Wait a minute. So if I click on this, the goal is partnering with System Workshop to produce Alam Sims in Iraq, a program designed to promote inclusion, mutual respect and understanding across ethnic religions and sectarian groups. Leveraging the popularity of the Arabic System Workshop show, Alam Simsin Iraq produces culturally tailored and age-appropriate original educational material or media content for young children. Bro, this would be the equivalent of saying that in the 1990s, right? The Department of Energy and the Department of Education would have the awards cut out so that they could not produce Captain Planet or the Magic School Bus, so that children like me, who lived abroad, would not be able to see shows like that. Dude, I want Mrs. Measles, okay? I want me Captain Planet going on. I needed to see stuff like that. Can you imagine if Schoolhouse Rock was banned because it was teaching people about the bills? Which, again, conservatives seem not to very much care about nowadays. Like, what the fuck is going on with different bills? Yeah, you were learning that in school. Not me. I did kind of watch that adjacently, but yeah, I'm not American. Again, just repeating that.
Countries getting money from you and you and you and you, all of our taxes. Where is this money going? I like the Doge. I want to know where my money's going. Yeah. I want to know why I can't afford to buy a steak, which is $22. I want to know why I can't afford to buy eggs.
Well, I would think it has something to do with the weapons manufacturers that are being subsidized by government contracts as opposed to DEI initiatives.
Well, you know, the military-industrial complex has definitely been infiltrated with people who are corrupt, and I agree with you. And I hope that those contracts are looked at and found out and killed and canceled. And I
which should be the bigger focus. You can literally find out where the thing to the USAID and all that went through. Literally a click away, you could find that on their own website. Like, all of this reminds me of the quote that Steve Bannon, one of Trump's lackeys, said some time ago, that the whole point was just to flood the airwave with as much disinformation, as much bullshit as possible.
And the media can only, because they're dumb and they're lazy, they can only focus on one thing at a time. I said, all we have to do is flood the zone. Every day we hit them with 3 things. They'll bite on one and we'll get all of our stuff done. Bang, bang, bang. These guys will never be able to recover, but we gotta start with muzzle velocity. So it's gotta start, and it's gotta hammer, it's gotta muzzle velocity.
Because the news, he said, are dumb, which they are. They also do follow the thing that a lot of content creators, I can't completely deny that, I have done that sometime, chase after, sensationalism, and thus they don't care about reporting things factually because that takes too much time. Doing a quick Google search just to make sure that your sources are correct. Fact-checking stuff, nah, too complicated. They don't want to do that, also because they know that by the time that they've spent enough energy and resources to fact-check one asinine claim, 10 or 20 more would have been spewed out of the mouth of the establishment. The current freaking office there. So why bother?
I hope people are held accountable and go to jail.
But what you said is also true about what a lot of people in the recovery community call the nonprofit industrial complex, which is these massive NGOs that are being funded and the money goes nowhere, just to salaries for activists.
Not only salaries for activists, but also many of these NGOs are semi-sophisticated money laundering operations for billionaires who embed their wealth in nonprofits to avoid paying taxes. Elon Musk himself owns a $5 billion charity called the Musk Foundation with no employees or staff.
Yep, the same thing with all of the people on that line.
And notable other billionaires and Trump allies, like Jeff Bezos, owns a $100 million nonprofit with the stated goal of combating homelessness, or rather, funding partner organizations who take that money and then go fight homelessness. In the city of Seattle, of all places, where nothing has significantly changed. But that doesn't seem to really concern wealthy NGO and nonprofit investors like Musk and Bezos. After all, it's not just for PR and tax purposes. As scholar Ruth Wilson Gilmore puts it, the nonprofit industrial complex is also dependent on surveillance and control. The rich have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo, particularly when it comes to wealth distribution, and control of media and information streams. So control of any nonprofits in the social justice or so-called revolutionary realm allows them to do a few things. But most importantly, it allows them to create a quasi-welfare style financial dependency amongst the leaders of these causes, and threaten to pull funding if they don't fall in line with the imposed narrative and agenda.
Yep, the thing. Bezos with the New York Times. Freaking the guy there in the start with glasses mentioned Bill Gates. He did that similarly when they were talking about certain research in, I believe it was malaria, that he and his foundation with his wife had going on. So like, there was even a drama not too long ago, which was to a certain degree fact-checked, but was still somewhat dishonestly reported on from this part of a channel that I actually quite appreciate, Kuskasat, on the Bill Gates Foundation. So it's this whole thing that obviously if you do not have time to research, you will not know about. But again, it's there. That's why the regulation needs to be in place to prevent billionaires from taking it so far. That's the oligarchy that people are talking about.
Government agencies and private corporations. They can also collect intel to either share with law enforcement or use to entrap, cancel, and dismantle anyone getting too spicy. Now, obviously not all NGOs are CIA psyops to dismantle revolutionary causes and launder taxable income for oligarchs. But to act like the NGO issue that Elon Musk is citing is just a conservative talking point that he's pulling out of his ass is insane. Whether or not he's actually going to do anything about it is a different conversation, but it's still a problem, and one that I hope gets solved.
Do you think there is such a concept as like the nonprofit industrial complex? Like, do you think there is a degree of embezzlement when it comes to some of these organizations?
No, I'm not gonna know.
Well, but there is.
I think nonprofits have stepped in to do the work that the government does not.
Yeah.
And so they're doing really important work, like providing free legal services to undocumented immigrants, providing health care where our system doesn't provide it. So I think they're doing really critical life-saving work. And without nonprofits holding up a system that is, not serving everyone, people won't get care, they won't get legal representation, they won't get the services they need.
As somebody who has worked with and donated to NGOs like Amnesty International for some years, I understand the frustration that a lot of people have for it. There's some work that's being done, but there's also a lot that feels like it's not budging. But man, it sucks. It's all around just sucks. But yeah, this was my reaction to the Channel 5 covering of the Anti-Elon rally. God, I hate that man. He's such a sleazebag. But you let me know if my criticism was too harsh, the things that you believe that I was perhaps wrong on and alright. Please let me know in the comment section below. That being said, wish you all to have a wonderful day. See you guys in the next one. Bye.